lifestyle designers. This is Zach here with secretsoflongevity.com as well as my blog, martin-kilgour.com. And it's Q&A on Sunday, and my first question is from Necrowitch, and she's asking, she's relating a story to me of an interaction she's having with a friend who she's having trouble discussing health issues with, and she's asking how to address the issues with integrity. And this is something, you know, I've dealt with for years, having been sort of definitely not been coming from the best place when talking with family, sort of more distant friends that aren't into the same things necessarily as myself, with the same beliefs or feelings around health, and just what is the nature of this reality. Even you get the same thing in terms of religious beliefs. Anything where there's, you know, politics, health, and religion, it's like the top 3 things you don't discuss at a family dinner or something, because there's just such a wide variety of opinions about things like this, and it can be very frustrating when you feel very strongly about a certain stance on something, specifically health, because, you know, people's lives are in danger if they're not choosing the right things for themselves and for friends and family. Basically, the best thing to do is, like you're saying, you have to speak with integrity, which is not coming across as dogmatic, knowing when to draw a line, which is basically when you're getting almost like really charged. And there's things you can also do about this, and I find if I'm getting into a debate with someone about something, an issue, and it's a friend, and they're like really dynamically opposed to me, and this can jeopardize our friendship, I am very keen to be aware of, if this is like an in-person conversation, that I'm very centered in where I'm coming from, so I'm actually really aware of my gut, and sort of like, you could see your dantian, the lower point in your body, and you sit up straight, and you bring the least amount of emotion into your, the way you speak as possible, and when you find yourself getting really emotionally charged behind it, and almost like leaning forward or leaning back or slouching, you know you're either being too intense with them, or you're letting them be too intense with you, because, you know, if someone's trying to make a point to you and you kind of like start to hunch down and slouch, so they're being too assertive with you when you're actually just neutrally debating a topic instead of, you know, trying to enforce your opinions on each other without proof. Because that's when someone's going to have that going on, is if you don't have proof for something, you're going to be sort of like trying to, you know, hit them over the head, so to speak, with your facts or your dogma. So when it comes to raw food or holistic health or spirituality, you want to, educate yourself to the point where you can bring up your points in a conversation if you're choosing to debate with someone, and also be conscious of that you're not, and you can ask the other person, and you say, you know, attack my points, not me as a person. I've actually lost friendships this way, or at least really damaged them to the point where I don't really talk to people anymore, that specific person, because it was actually, not that I'm saying I was in the right, but they were attacking me personally, calling me names associated with what I was talking about, and this was a health issue, but I just decided, you know, I'm not putting up with that. I'm wanting to debate an issue here, not try and shove each other's opinions down each other's throats. It's not, a debate is not a fight. So that's the thing you have to be clear, is if you're going to be challenging someone, you want it to be a debate, not a fight. And as for negative feelings of, you're saying you're feeling a little bit depressed, if you don't mind me sharing that with the audience, but if you're feeling that sort of emotion after an event like this, that would indicate that, well, depression, in my opinion, is always anger that's lost its fuel and you've turned it inwards. So you can be very angry at the world about something, and when that starts to lose its heat, so to speak, it turns inward, that you become depressed because you can't cause a change in the world with your anger. And the same thing, you can't cause a change in someone that you care about that might have a health issue that you can't convince them of otherwise, and that's going to be causing these emotions to turn in on yourself, which is obviously not ideal. Now the next question is from Samuel. He's Nakudao on YouTube here, and he's asking my opinion about green tea, and just whether I drink it, what do I think of it. He sent me some studies as well. And, you know, green tea is another one of these foods where it's had a lot of hype around it in terms of the studies on it. I mean, you could think of the big ones that you always hear the latest study about, and they're almost like fad things to research. So it's green tea, blueberries, red wine, turmeric. They almost emphasize these things too much as being healthy without looking at the other sides of them, although I think the majority of those do have a lot of benefits. Specifically green tea, I personally don't drink it because it's quite a strong stimulant. I don't drink caffeinated tea, I don't drink caffeinated coffee, of course, but the theophylline content in green tea, which is the most, it has a bit of caffeine, but it also has more theophylline, which is another type of xanthan molecule like theobromine, caffeine. Theophylline is like a bronchial dilator, so it's great as a treatment or an adjunct to a treatment for someone with asthma or any sort of lung breathing trouble. So as an herbalist, that's when they would use this sort of thing if they had a client or a patient that needed this for their specific condition. So I regard green tea as not a tonic herb, so to speak. It's not something I recommend anyone take day in, day out, every day, because it has a more acute usage. And actually a lot of herbalists agree. They wouldn't use it as frequently as some other forms of herbs that are more tonifying and are nutritive and don't have negative side effects. And so the negative side effects of green tea is it's very high in phytoestrogens. So this is why it's often used by monks throughout Asia, because it will lower your libido. So phytoestrogens mimic estrogen in the body, and yes, they have anti-cancer benefits to a degree, but they're really not looking at the main issues here, which is it's going to lower your testosterone, which you don't want as a male, or a female even. You don't need to mess with those things. And so continual usage, when you consider that we have a lot of xenoestrogens and other foods that are phytoestrogens in our diet, we don't need extra ones on top of it. So I've mentioned this about flax seeds and soy before. So green tea is another one we don't really need. So my recommendation is always to keep the phytoestrogens to a certain amount, like 2 or 3 medium quantity phytoestrogens, like so you could be eating some garbanzo beans, some mung beans, and sesame seeds in your diet at different times. But you keep piling on red wine, green tea, flax seeds and all this, it just becomes too much, and you start to lose things like the dopamine levels, which is dependent on good testosterone levels, sort of your drive and that sort of young masculine energy, which is quite depleted in our society, in my opinion, and it's going to lead to sort of very passive type mentality, which is what the monks were searching for. They wanted to have, you know, sort of the lack of libido, the lack of drive, so that they could sit in one spot and meditate for a long time. But you can meditate with a high sex drive, a high testosterone levels. It's just you need to be able to channel those hormones in the proper way. So yeah, although there are benefits in terms of antioxidants with green tea, it's actually a very low amount of antioxidants when you compare it to other teas and berries and chocolate and things like that. So in my opinion, the benefits aren't, yeah, there's probably more benefits than negatives, but the negatives are pretty specific, and it's just up to you whether you want to take in those negatives with the positives just to get those positives. But there are those positives you can find identical in other foods and herbs that are all positive with little or no negatives. And that's my thoughts around green tea. And the last question is from Chasing Trains on YouTube. And he's asking my opinion about water fasting. Do I do them? Is there a good length of time, and are they a good treatment for candida or during a liver cleanse? And one time I did a water fast, by the second day, I think I lasted 24 hours, and when I woke up the next day, I stood up and I was blacking out almost. So I have a hard time doing water fasts by a long shot. You're actually depleting the electrolytes of the body. Your body's not running on anything. So I recommend juice fasting, first of all, for anyone. I think there's very rare cases when we actually need a water fast. And it's an opinion of the Hippocrates Health Institute, as far as I know, that sort of that mentality of thought around health is that the water fast is really sort of an archaic practice that, you know, you can get the same benefits with juice fasting, specifically green juice fasting, so you're not taking the sugars, and you're getting some very tiny amounts of essential fatty acids and a good amount of protein through the green juice, and you're not getting any fiber, so you're getting your body's flushing out, but you can actually function. So, you know, if you want to water fast for a bit and lie around, that's one thing. But personally, for my very fast metabolism, as I'm very athletic, I can't handle water fasting, and so I just recommend that for other people as well, to think about juicing instead of water fast. And so in regards to using fasting before a liver candida cleanse, that can be helpful in the sense that you're flushing out, so to speak, to aid in the process of the other cleanse that you're going to do after that. That might be a bit heavy to do that before a liver or a candida cleanse, just in the sense that it might be too much for your body to handle, so take things slow. So that's my opinion about those questions this week, and of course ask for more throughout the week so I can answer them next week's Q&A on Sunday, and I'll see you through the week, so take care.